I guess.
I think so,
At
I'm
least
being
partially.
replaced. Yes,
Bob, we're
that's
all going to get replaced by AI.
Yeah.
It's over.
No.
Jason, is he the engineer? Yeah.
Hey, Arnie, for now, we just deleted it, so we don't need AI for the meeting. So.
So it's be Jason and Mitchell.
Okay, well, so far I only got Jason out in the room, so that's fine. Oh, I was gonna rename Paul. Let me rename Paul. We're all set, Arnie. You can go.
All right, Joanne, thank you, and welcome everyone to the June 3rd, 2026 meeting of the Danbury Planning Commission. We'll open with the roll call. Mr. Kiokio,
Here.
Ms. Hofstadter,
Here.
Mr. Nazario,
Here.
and Chairman Finaldi is here. We have a quorum. We don't need to seat alternates because we don't have them, and I guess we're going to be checking on the newest member, Ava.
Eva.
Eva. We're not sure what happened there, but we will be looking into that. Okay. Last meeting, I was told that we no longer have to do the Zoom intro. I'm sure you're all real disappointed that you won't have to listen to that every meeting, but I'm going to assume that was okay. I probably should have asked Dan Casagrande when I saw him the other day, but I guess we're okay without the Zoom intro until I hear otherwise. So we're just going to skip that. We'll go right to the acceptance of the meetings of the May 6th, 2026 meeting. Commission members, unless there's any corrections or any discussion, I'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the May 6th meeting.
Thank you. Second by Helen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes rather are accepted. I'll let the record show that our next regular meeting is scheduled for the night of June 17th, 2026. Please note your calendars. And we'll go right into our first public hearing. UB Danbury LLC. I'm actually, sorry, let me read the legal notice first. Legal notice is hereby given that the Planning Commission of the City of Danbury will hold a public hearing commencing at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026 in a web-based meeting hosted on Zoom to consider the following matter. UB Danbury LLC, Regency Centers LP, application for revised special exception revised site plan to permit fast food restaurant, section 5A2B16, in the CG20 zone, 20 to 28 Bacchus Avenue, F17010, special exception number 381. A copy of this application is on file in the Planning and Zoning Office for public inspection. Parties in interest and citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard at this time. The meeting agenda will be posted. Will include instructions on how to access the Zoom meeting and application materials or view the meeting in real time on YouTube. Arnold D. Finaldi Jr., Chairman, posted on City website and Town Clerk's Office, May 20, 2026, published in the News Times on May 22nd and May 29, 2026, purchase order 2026-002. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application? Anyone representing the applicant at this meeting?
Yes. Hi, my name is Jason Montagno with Soli Engineering. I'm a PE, and we're located at 501 Main Street in Monroe, Connecticut. I'm happy to kind of give a quick introduction to the project and just kind of go over the parking, the trip generation data that we calculated, and just give an overview to the commission and answer any questions.
Sure, go right ahead.
Awesome. I'll just share my screen quick if you guys can accept that.
Sure.
Okay. Let me know when it's popping up on your end.
Okay.
I undid it. It's you can't share, it's not letting you. Wait a minute, let me try again. Share settings. Oh, there
Here
it
it comes.
is. Here it
Perfect.
comes.
All right.
Okay. Okay.
Awesome. So just to give a brief introduction, the site, this is located at 20 to 20 Bacchus Avenue in Danbury. The site's approximately 2.75 acres located in the CG20 district. It's currently improved with a 33,580 square foot building. It has specific tenants such as liquor stores, a smoke shop, a mattress firm, Buffalo Wild Wings, Cold Stone Creamery, and Papa Panda restaurant. And as part of this application, it's really just a change of tenant interior renovation. So there's nothing really site specific that's going to be altered during this application. The building footprint's not going to be changing, nor will the building height or any additional improvements such as that. So what we did was we performed a parking calculation based on the current uses. And with those uses, we came out, I will zoom into my table over here on the right side. After we calculate all the retail and different restaurant uses, we come out with a required parking count of 249 spaces. There are 275 provided spaces. And we were also adequately parked to code for handicap or ADA accessible spaces with 7. And I'll just zoom back out again. This unit is located right where my mouse is displayed. So it's about a 1,200 square foot change of use. And so regarding the trip generation, so this was approved back in 2010. So what we did was we took the 2010 uses, and I'll zoom into this next table, which were different retail and restaurant uses. And that data back then, the estimated trips was approximately 1,955, but that's based on outdated data. So we took the Institute of Transportation Engineers, the trip generation manual, and we used the more recent empirical data as our baseline, and we calculated that the 2010 approved uses would have roughly 3,076 trips per day. Then within our current condition, we took all the existing uses plus the proposed Jersey Mike's. And after using that new empirical data, we came out with 2,468 trips. So overall, we anticipate 608 fewer trips to be generated in the current condition than what was approved in the 2010 application. That's really the gist of it. The rest is really internal renovations to the building, but I'm happy to answer any questions that are site specific. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Montagno. Just a quick question. This isn't site specific, but I believe the next closest Jersey Mike's is the one in Brookfield. Is this particular store going to be sort of a carbon copy of that one?
And I'm not familiar with the Brookfield one and what it exactly looks like, but we'll be able to provide you with the internal floor plans of the layout and how everything will look like. I don't know if Mitchell Thompson is online as well to probably provide some more input on that. Let's see.
Yeah, I can't from my screen. Now that the screen is up and covered, I can't tell. I don't know who.
Doesn't appear that he's on.
He is not, he did
Okay.
not, you
No,
know,
it's
I'm
okay,
waiting,
it's-
watching the waiting room and he's not on.
Okay.
It's okay. I was just curious more than anything else. Okay, commission members. Actually, I'm sorry. We won't leave that yet. Commission members, any questions for Mr. Montagno?
All right, Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Bob.
can you just go back to the traffic or the traffic counts again for just a quick question there?
Absolutely.
So when hold on, let me just see what it. So when BevMax went in there, they did. There wasn't an approval for that, or there wasn't a new traffic study was done then, because that looks like it generated a fair amount of traffic. It just not that I'm concerned about the traffic, but it just seems like, you know, the Chuck E. Cheese hasn't been there in a long time, and there's been a bunch of different new stores in there. So I'm just wondering how you bridge that gap from 2010 till now, when I would have thought that other approvals happened in between.
They did. I know there were different approvals for, I believe we could see the smoke shop as well as the Papa Panda that went in. I think that was the most recent one that swapped out for the GameStop that was located there. But we did have to create some sort of baseline. And based on that empirical data, we're showing that we anticipate fewer trips regarding these.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions at this time for Mr. Montagno? Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? Anyone else in favor? Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone in opposition? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Well, commission members, pretty straightforward application. Certainly a building and a location we're all very familiar with. Ally, how are we doing? Are we okay to close or are we waiting for anything?
Yes, we are okay to close the public hearing. Sign-offs were received from planning and zoning and the traffic engineer as well.
Okay. Well, your last chance, commission members, to ask questions. Whatever happened to Chuck E. Cheese? Anyone get answer that? All right. If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, so moved.
Thank you, Helen. Second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Nazario. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? The public hearing is closed. I'll entertain a motion to move this to item 1 under new old business for discussion and possible action.
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman, I'll
Chairman,
make that motion.
Okay, let's say Helen made the motion and Mr. Kiokio seconded it. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? This matter appears as item 1 under old business for discussion and possible action. Okay, we're moving right ahead. As you see on the agenda, there is nothing under continuation of public hearings this evening. So we will go right to item 1 under old business for discussion and possible action. UB Danbury LLC, Regency Centers LP application for revised special exception, revised site plan to permit fast food restaurant. Section 5A 2B16 in the CG20 zone, 20 to 28 Bacchus Avenue, F1701. Special exception number 381. Public hearing was closed this evening, which is June 3rd, 2026. Any commission members want to comment on this application to give guidance to staff?
Mr.
I
Chairman,
will. Oh, you go first, Helen. You go first.
okay, this looks like it's very straightforward. All the departments signed off. Internal changes only. Pretty simple, nothing complicated, so I think it's good to go.
Thank you, Helen. Anybody else? Bob, Sydney, anything?
I agree.
Agreed. Also, I hope they don't run out of cheesesteaks like the other ones do. That's my only complaint.
Yeah, I know we all miss Chuck E. Cheese, but it's time to move on. So, Ally, you've got your guidance, okay? All right. Okay, that wraps that one up. We're going to move right to our referrals. And again, there are 2 8-3A referrals, and I believe Waleed is going to present them both combined. Is that correct, Waleed? Okay, so I'm going to read both of them, and then I'm going to turn it over to Waleed. Obviously, commission members, there was a significant amount of reading and paperwork that accompanied this particular referral. So I want to make sure, though, we do keep them separate and distinct from each other. But here we go. The first one is an 8-3A referral. We will vote on them separately. So it will be 2 separate votes for a positive or negative referral. I just wanted to make sure I got that on the record. The first one is an 8-3A referral petition of the City of Danbury by Waleed Al-Bakri, Planning Director, to amend Section 2B, 5A, 5B, 5C, 5E, 5F, 5G, 5L, 5I, HC, 10B, and 10I of the zoning regulations and add sections 5J and 8F to the zoning regulations. The Zoning Commission public hearing on this matter will be scheduled for June 23rd of 2026. The second one is an 8-3A referral petition of the City of Danbury by Waleed Al-Bakri, Planning Director, to amend the zoning map to implement a mixed-use transit-oriented district, MUTOD, the Priority Housing Development Overlay Zone, to create 2 conservation and traffic mitigation districts in compliance with HB 8002. And again, The zoning commission will have a public hearing on this matter for June 23rd, 2026. For lack of any doubt, this is again a referral. This is not a public hearing. So we do not have any public input on these two matters. That's a matter for the zoning commission. And with that said, I will turn it over to you, Waleed, for further discussion.
Sure thing. Good evening, all.
Good evening.
All right.
Good evening.
Correction here, just to, it's not really a correction. I would like to mention that what used to be HB 8002 is now PA 25-1.
Got it.
So before
25
I,
what? 25 what? 01?
yes, -1, dash.
Okay, thank you.
So before I start to share my screen, let me give you a little bit of history because it will be helpful. So over a year or a year and a half, I started working with the zoning commission, a lot of stakeholders, property owners, to see what we can do for design standards and also the corridor that you see. What happened in between, which I explained in the submission to all of you, state started working on a lot of changes. So we felt, myself, the zoning commission, that we should bring all of them together because, first of all, the state want to see more housing. We, as the city of Danbury, which is a city of about 90,000, as we speak, we don't have actual design standards. What does this mean? Well, it means, hey, if you submit applications and say they are not really appealing, they are not really good quality, if they meet the other requirements, we don't have a say, unless it's an actual special exception that goes to you. So really, before having the state mandate, we needed to have design standards. So we worked very quickly on it. It's a very important piece for the future of Danbury, I believe, and zoning commission believes the case is, because city is expanding, there's more going on, and we need to have a say in what's happening. Also, speaking of the mixed use, the new one, this has been a collaboration between zoning commission, myself, and a lot of the property owner. And you will see why during the discussion it's needed. My intent is not to go over each item because it would be a long and boring meeting if we do so. So what I'm going to do is the following. Where I feel that we need to highlight a section and go deep into it, I will do so. When I feel that we can just mention what it is very quickly, I will go very quickly over it. That being said, of course, at the end of the presentation, by all means, if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer and discuss what we have been doing for the last year and a half. So, Joanne, I'm gonna see if I can share my screen with you. Can you see it?
Yes.
Coming,
Awesome.
yep.
That's great. Okay, that's gonna make my life easier here. So I will start by talking about the last activity we did. So back, if you see here on my slide, back in April 2026, I mean the 16th, we had a big open house. It was about discussing all the items that I'm going to explain later on. And all the feedback we received during the meeting, before and after, was all positive. So, general overview, and by the way, the flow of the presentation, it depends on, in my view, what is easier to discuss. So we are going from the easier one to the more complex one. So, however, they're all overlapping, and there's a lot of similarities in a way. So first, I'm going to talk about design standards. Following that, I'm going to talk about state mandated updates, including what we call accessory apartment. At the end, I'm going to just talk about the mixed use zoning district that we would like to actually have. So when we talk about design standards, I'm going to talk about applicability and what are the categories we would like to include. So we are talking about all residential units except for single family. We are also talking about future mixed use. We will have different sections for residential and commercial within the mixed use. But the standard that you have does not include commercial requirement for commercial development. So very quickly, we are going to have different categories to ensure that the outcome that we will get will add to the appeal of the city. So one category is building orientation. Building need to be facing the front or the street if you have one. Open space and amenities. Open space is, some of it is like landscaping. It's inside the site, some is outside. So we're going to talk about how you can get in and out of the site. We are going to talk about, in our requirement, how to design parking. We don't want to see parking that is just facing the street and just taking it away from the community. Landscaping, lighting, utilities. Even if you have utilities in a building, they have to be somehow enclosed so they don't actually look like an eyesore. Of course, we are going to talk about design, how the building is designed, how big it is, and the materials for finishing. We don't want a low quality. And I have some pictures to help show what I'm talking about. Look at the top picture here. So that's what we are talking about. If we have new building, we want it to be closer to the sidewalk and the parking to be behind. We want a different material. If you look at the one in the bottom left-hand side, we want also open space and balconies. We don't want a just flat building. The easiest way to explain what I'm trying to talk about is looking at pictures here. Look at the one to the left-hand side. This is not a small building. So what does it do? They have the building actually what we call step back sometime and sometime going forward. That creates this kind of building that speaks to you. It's not a flat blank building. Another one, if you look at the one to the top right-hand side, sometimes you don't want to have the same flat roof. You want to have different variations. This will be something we will be asking applicant to do. If you look at the top, you will see they are utilizing different roof styles that creates more, I would say, appeal to the building. Sometimes, if you look at the bottom hand side, you can actually use different colors and different materials to make the building look nicer. You don't want the same material, the same facade. That creates kind of less appeal for the whole city if you keep having buildings that are very blank. Another example, if you look at the left-hand side, what they are doing here, they are using different materials and different colors. So it's the same building, but it feels to be more than one building. Even on a smaller scale, if you look to the middle-hand side, the picture in the middle, you will see what they are doing is they are using the garage doors, different colors to differentiate between the actual, it's 2 units and the garage. The same applies to the right-hand side. They have 2 similar buildings. They were asking the applicant to use different colors. This is what we're talking about. As we speak, when we get an application, it's mostly up to the applicant to decide. We can give them advice, we can recommend, but at the end of the day, if they don't want to listen to us, we don't have much to do. Another example, which is the last example for design. This is a smaller scale mixed use. If you look at the letters that are here, it shows building orientation, meaning the building is facing outside. Building mass, you will see, if you look at B, they are having different setbacks so the building doesn't look bulky. Also, if you look at the scale, if your building next to you is not too high, you should be sensitive to it so you don't go too high. So there's always a harmony in the style. Also, we are regulating if you have business on the first floor, the percentage of glass you have. Because when you have glass for a business, it actually is for a commercial corridor that we would like to have. This is just examples of what we have details of in our design standards. Having said that, I'm just going to move on unless you have any questions now or you want to wait until later to talk about the state.
Waleed, I just want to jump in, with a question or statement. I'm delighted we're going to have design standards. All the years I've been around planning and zoning, it never occurred to me that the city didn't have any in the regulations. So that's I think a good thing.
It's long mean, especially with what's going on, the city is not stagnant anymore. And to be clear, with all the new mandates from the states, we are going to see more housing.
Oh, sure. Yes. So if we grant a special exception, if we grant that, will these design standards be included in the approval? In other words, can we condition an approval including these design standards, and do they come from staff?
So that's a good question. So if you look at the actual regulation that was sent to you, you will see that sometimes the language is should, sometimes it's shall. When it's shall, we can condition, yes.
Okay. Okay. That's good.
And again, the reason why some are should and some are shall, it's after consultation with our corporation council.
Okay. Yeah, it just, Commission members, Waleed mentioned to me earlier today that, this wording was reviewed and approved by Corporation Council. Sometimes, if it sounds like there's a lot of legalese in there, that might be why. But thanks, Waleed. Please proceed.
And again, we can go back to it. I would love to talk more about it. It's for me very exciting for the city because, quite honestly, when I came in, I was not sure why a city with the size of Denver doesn't have any mechanism to have a say when there's an application coming in. And I'm sure you know of some examples, I'm not going to mention, that leaves a lot to be desired.
Yes. Yes.
So going back here to the state mandates. So I totally understand it can be overwhelming. So bear with me. I will do my best to simplify and touch on the ones that we need to talk about. So in general, what the state did, they came up with new definitions that needed to be included in our zoning regulations. And I'm going to talk about it later. For us, what it really means is the following. Any mixed use or commercial district in the city will have to allow for any residential development between 2 and 9 units. So if I go from the top down, just as a reminder, we have the CG20 zone, CA20, LCI 40, CL10, CN5, CN20. The downtown is a mixed use. And we are going to have a new mixed use, which we call MU TOD. We have the Campus Research Park. It's a commercial district. We have the mixed use regional mall, which was enacted about 4 years ago. And I'm going to talk after that about the new parking requirement that came from the state and also what they call protest petition that came from the state. I'm going to explain it very quickly. The easiest way to explain what's going to happen is to give you an example that will be the same in all the districts. What is the example? It's here. I'll start with the definitions. I will pause here for a minute. You don't have to read the whole definition. All what you need to know is the following. The state has a new definition. They call it middle housing. It's any type of residential development in any form that you see here in the pictures between 2 and 9 units. And the state is asking for this to be allowed in commercial and mixed use zones. I'm going to pause here for a minute. You can read it. You don't have to spend too much time. Look at the main point, 2 to 9 units. Is it okay? Should I move on or? Okay. That's one definition. Another definition that is very important, and please remember it because we'll talk about it later. The state has a new definition that we must include in our zoning regulation. What is it called? Parking needs assessment. What does it mean? Is that a qualified engineer will submit a study to us, meaning the city, saying, hey, this development requires or needs only like 10 parking spaces. That's a new definition, and you will see why it's so important. Another one, it's not very important because we are not doing a lot of changes. We are changing one aspect of the mobile manufacturing home. We are making it 40 feet wide instead of what it is now, 30 feet wide, because this is a new state mandate. We are not doing much here. Another one that is very important to remember, and I don't believe it will be used much, but just in case, we are including it as well. The state has a new definition, and I'm highlighting in a different color what you need to remember. Set aside development, meaning that it's a development that has no less than 30% affordable housing for 40 years. You don't need all this. This is really what it boils down to. Another terminology that the state loves and requiring municipalities to include is this new one, summary review, which is a fancy way to say site plan application that doesn't need a public hearing. If you want to remember, just remember what it is. It's a site plan application that is done by administration and doesn't go for a public hearing.
Waleed, it's Arnie. Could you just go back, forgive me, go back 2 slides. Can you go backwards 2 slides?
Yeah.
One more. And I apologize for not asking the question when this slide was up. Obviously, we've got, I don't know, 20-something different zones here in Danbury. The ones on the screen, CG20, CA80, et cetera, the 8 of them, I believe. These are all either commercial zones or mixed use type zones, or I guess you would call them specialty zones, Campus Research Park and the mall, the MIRM. So the amendments being proposed for the first time specifically insert into these zones permission to build residential areas. Is that a correct statement? Is this the first time we've specifically amended the commercial zones to allow residential development?
The main one, yes, you are correct. And if you look, for example, and I know it's a little bit odd, if you look at this Campus Research Park in the zoning regulation, you will see it's under the commercial kind of this, so it's part of it. So all what you see, it's either commercial or mixed use. Mixed use, we have only 2, which is the downtown one and the one we are proposing tonight. So
I just wanted to stop there because again, a lot of us have been looking at the regs for a long time, and I wanted my fellow commission members to be aware that, you know, this is a fairly significant change. We've always tried our best to have a distinction between the commercial zones, mixed use, and residential, and this sort of blurs the line a little bit, and I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that.
Mr.
indeed,
Chairman,
it does. Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't know you were going to answer that.
I agreed with what the chair was saying. Indeed, it does. Yeah. What you said is absolutely correct.
Yeah, thanks.
I will just, Mr. Chairman, I just want to ask the question, does this conflict in any way with the POCD where we try to keep commercial zones commercial and I believe that's in the CO, am I saying that right? POCD. So is this a conflict with that?
I wouldn't look at it this way because also the POCD is talking about mixing different zones as well. So somebody might be looking at it and say, well, it's just for the way we have to do it. We can say that there's a need for mixing in some areas, residential and commercial uses, to the point is there's not much conflict. And when we say conflict, you will see after that I'm going to talk about the requirement that we are going to add in our zoning regulations for when you can have residential, such as open space, lot coverage, side yards, and all that stuff.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just ask one more question about this.
Sure.
So on the next slide, you showed, it was basically residential housing in which we would be going into these commercial zones. And I think we've been used to sort of looking at, if you're going to do mixed zoning here, that you'd have the commercial businesses on the first floor, and then above that you put the other. But this looks like it's just plain residential, really.
So you are, let me move to the following slide and you'll see what I'm talking about. So
Okay.
what will happen in all the zones we talked about, you can have the middle housing or you can have mixed use. So from our standpoint, we have to have the middle housing, which is 2 to 9 units. But we are also allowing having mixed use that includes maximum 9 units and commercial on the main floor. If you see at section here, 1 and 2.
Okay, but if you can include transit community middle housing, that's that slide 2 that we just looked at, correct? And so, but since that's in the zoning regs, what are our hands tied when a developer wants to use one of these, residential developments rather than doing the commercial one? I mean, do we have any control over choosing one versus the other?
We don't have control over choosing one over the other. However, what we are trying to include, and I know it's too small, so the point is not to look at the slide, is to have, and also it's in one of the submission. We are asking for maximum lot coverage. We are asking for minimum square footage, open space for each unit. We are asking for side yards. We are asking for maximum height, so that at the end of the day, depending on how big the lot is, we will have control, so it's not going to be built out completely. Does this make sense to you? This is the only thing we can do. We cannot say no, but we have a chance to say, well, yes, but here are our requirements that you show. I'm showing you an example on the slide.
All right, can I just try to summarize this so I understand it? So for the mixed, no, what's the other one? The transit, whatever, where it's just the residential.
This one, this
Transit.
So if there's been,
here it is.
yeah, that one. So we have had struggles with trying to keep commercial and industrial and, like we have it presently in the POCD. And you're saying you're going to put requirements on these residential units that might discourage, because the one thing we don't want is to diminish the commercial side to the degree that we just have houses all over the place. I mean, like, where are the controls on that?
Helen, I understand you. I hear what you are saying. And I talked to the chair before. I have been in meeting advocating the same you are talking about. So I will tell you this. The ship has sailed. We have to accept it. What we are trying to do, we want to accept it on our own terms, whatever they are, as long as they are legal.
Okay, so what you're saying is the state is mandating that these houses can go into commercial areas.
Absolutely.
We can't do anything about that. I understand that. Thank you for clarifying.
What we are trying to achieve is this. We want to have tables. If you look at it closely, I know it's small, you will see we have some kind of control.
Okay.
Yeah, these setback requirements are basically designed to prevent the overcrowding of land. That's what we're trying to accomplish with those. So Helen, you're right. We can't stop it, but we can condition it and require certain setbacks and things that would prevent the land from being overcrowded. I think I'm saying that right.
Yes, and also don't forget 500 square feet for each unit for open space.
Yeah.
Imagine if you do this, you are not going to be able to have many units. And imagine you can also, if you look closely, maximum building cannot exceed 30% of the lot. So we're adding more mechanisms so that we are not going to get an application every week saying, I want to have 9 units. Because they can't. They will have maximum 2 units. If you work out the math, it might be better for them to keep the commercial use.
I see. Thank you. That was and is a concern, but it sounds like you're building in what we need to, keep it at bay, maybe. Okay.
As long
Um,
as it's legal and we can do it based on the state law. So just
Yeah.
finding you.
Well, we don't want to get rid of our commercial space. That was my biggest, issue. Thank you.
Absolutely. Would love to keep it and actually add more to it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, do you have more questions about this one, or should I move on here?
You can move right forward.
Okay. So another one that I'm sure most of you are not gonna like it, but I have to say it the way it is. So bear with me, I'm sorry. So as part of the new requirements, we have to change our parking calculations. And I'll try to say, what does this mean to us? For a single family, it's gonna still be the same, which is 2 parking spaces. For 16, between 2 and 16 units, we are not going to be able to enforce parking requirements unless there's an exception, which I'm going to talk about it later. For developments including 17 or more units, if you look here at what I have on the slide, we will be able to acquire 1 parking space for each 1 bedroom and 2 for each 2 bedrooms. However, if an applicant, and remember what I talked about, the parking needs assessment. If an applicant submits a parking needs assessment by an engineer that shows that they actually need less parking spaces, we will have to accept it. And I can go back over it, it's confusing, but in a nutshell, what you need to remember is the state is asking for something called parking assessment. If the parking assessment shows less need for parking spaces, you as a commission will have to accept that. You cannot go against it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's what
I talked to commission members. I talked to Waleed earlier, but this is, this is probably one that makes you stop and ponder. It appears as though the state of Connecticut, in their desire to increase the supply of housing, has made a decision to significantly change and reduce parking requirements. I think that's a safe statement.
Yes, but they
and-
use it more than anybody.
You go, Waleed.
So what happened is the expectation at some point was that they are not going to be talking about 16 units. It will be way less than that. Maybe 4 units, 5 units. They came up with a number that is not clear where it came from, saying, hey, anywhere between 2 and 16, you cannot ask for parking more than what a study done by an engineer shows the need for. In other words, they are saying, well, it would be done quickly, as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, and we don't see this being an issue for the production of more housing.
Yeah.
And I
And-
talked to some, and this is just people who have been going against this. They are saying, well, if it turns out to be an issue at some point, maybe the cities must build parking spaces, like parking structures in different areas of the community.
Yeah, and again, if it's a state mandate, there's not much we can do, but this is a matter of concern. There could be some, unintended consequences here, and we're just going to have to look at it very quickly. I mean, we're learning some new terms here tonight. I mean, those of us who have been around a while, transit community middle housing, parking needs assessment, summary review. These are new terms to us. We've never, you'd be hard pressed to find those in our regs today, but they're coming. And we're just going to have to monitor it very carefully because, parking is a tricky one. Some people say that we require too much. Some people say we don't require enough. So it's just something we're going to have to keep an eye on.
And again, don't forget, Mr. Chairman, part of the, I don't want to say the issue, part of the dilemma is that the state mandate is applicable everywhere in the city. However, if you look at the whole state, so everywhere in the state. However, if you look at the whole state, the cities are not equal. You have smaller communities, you have medium size, you have bigger communities. However, unfortunately, the state law does not differentiate.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Helen.
just add to that, in terms of a question. So a P&A, parking needs assessment, is a report prepared by a qualified professional of actual parking demand for a proposed residential development, as required by section blah, 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 blah. So what is this section, whatever, as amended from time to time, does that have standards for this? And are there very particular standards as to what's considered demand for parking?
No, the state law does not go into all the weeds. They leave this to be figured out as we go by different communities. So no, this is all what we have.
But if I could just ask, qualify that a little bit. So, but a parking needs assessment. So do you feel that, I think you're telling me that it's not necessarily the same set of needs across the whole state then? If you got big cities, it's one thing. If you have little cities, it's another thing. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Okay, to simplify, I believe the commission have seen one or two submitted before. Sometimes, if you have a gas station, for example, our requirement is so and so. The needs assessment is that an engineer usually will work on a study saying, hey, actually, all what you need is 10 parking spaces instead of 15. I'm sure you have seen one. I forgot exactly what application it was.
Well, but, okay.
So Helen, your point is right. You're absolutely right. I mean, if an applicant or a developer has a parking needs assessment, a P&A, which basically documents that X number of parking spaces is available, we're more or less compelled to accept it, unless we have an expert that says he's wrong. So that could happen. I think you might be thinking of traffic reports where the developer, hires a traffic engineer, and most of the time the traffic engineer's conclusion is the same as the developer's conclusion.
No, I'm not comparing this with a traffic report, because this needs a set of parameters by which a professional will be guided in saying how many parking spaces is appropriate, let's say. Okay, I think that's a different set of rules from a traffic study. Well, at least that's what I'm thinking. So I was trying to clarify that, and then I want to understand if it's statewide, or does this community by community determine that?
I think what Helen is saying is, like, for traffic, there's the ITE study, which there's a table for that. Whereas this parking, it sounds like the parking expert can just come up with whatever he wants and not necessarily use a specific table for that.
Like, where are the standards?
There's no standard.
I don't believe the standards, the ones I have seen before, will talk about looking at different communities and seeing different projects going on and estimating the need locally based on what they have seen elsewhere. And usually they will compare with similar sized communities. This is not, as far as I know, not something standardized.
Okay, so it's a concern, I guess. Maybe we can log it at that and move on, but thank you for, answering the questions.
And just to be clear here, a lot of the requirements that came from the state, and it's not a secret, the state itself did not define. So a lot of this remains to be explored when we start applying it. I'm not talking about Danbury, I'm talking about the whole state. There are lots of issues that people are actually figuring out as they go. Okay. I don't know if you were following what was going on last year. This was done very, very quickly. Just for you to know, and the vote was very quick. So all the issues that were not anticipated are appearing now. And I'm sure there will be more as we go.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Bob.
Just one question. So this parking aspect only applies to these commercial zones when there is a residential included in the application. Is that correct?
No, the parking we are talking about, this is universal. Or what you see, like this will be applied anywhere where you have residential uses, not even in the traditional residential district. This will be applicable as well.
Okay, so wherever there's dwelling options in the application, this applies.
Yes, anywhere.
Okay, thank you.
And I mentioned here that if you go back here to what I was talking about, I was talking about when you have 16, between 2 and 16 residential units, that you cannot ask for parking. And I said there are exceptions. I will explain the exceptions later on.
Okay.
So maybe I should actually explain it now. So it's a good time to do it. So what we have, the state allowed us to have 2, what we call, this is a new terminology. I know there are lots of terminologies tonight. They came up with a new terminology called conservation and mitigation district. We are allowed to have up to 2 mitigation districts. So the one which will have exception for parking, where we can ask for parking, number 1 is this one you see here. I don't know if you can see it clearly or not. The hospital is in the middle. So this area was very sensitive. We wanted to actually still maintain the ability to ask for parking. So all the hospital is here and the area around it, I'm sure you know, it's very difficult to find parking. So we felt a need to utilize the option the state gave us and have the conservation and traffic mitigation district here. This is number 1. Another one, again, we can only have maximum 2. The other one is the one you see here. It's west of Maine. So if you look at this area, Maine will be somewhere, this is Maine. This area here, a little bit, I would say 500 feet west of Maine. We know it has a lot of issues for on-state parking. So we wanted this also to be an area where we can still acquire parking. These are the 2 exceptions I mentioned before. Have any question about that?
Just to say back to you what you just said, those parking regulations we discussed earlier do not apply to these 2 districts. The state allows us to have 2, and we have established 2.
Got it.
We can have maximum 2. That's why we only use 2.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So one new
Could you
terminal.
have made them the size of the city?
Very
Except for
clever,
one
Bob. Very
street.
clever.
Yeah, good thinking, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry for the interruption.
Okay, no worries. So one thing else that I would like to mention is a new terminology that the state is asking for, which is the priority housing overlay. So instead of reinventing the wheel, we find a quick fix, which is our downtown. If you remember, this is the boundary of downtown. We took Main Street Historic Overlay Zone out, which is the one in the middle, and we made everything else priority housing development. So instead of having a new district, we utilize an existing one, which meets all the requirements of the state, which was a good solution. The reason why we took this area in the middle here is because this is the historic district and we have a height limitations. I think that's an easy one and an easy fix too. One thing that we need to talk about very, very quickly is the state want to make it different for people to appeal zoning decisions. So what they are saying here is back in the days, before enacting the new law, 20% of property owners could appeal a decision of the zoning commission or ask for an appeal. Now, this 20% is 50% now. You don't need all the details below. That's what it boils down to. Make it more difficult for appeal for decision by the zoning commission. That's really what it means. By the way, just by way of history, the 20% existed in the previous law, but we didn't have it in our zoning regulation. So we are adding this section in our zoning regulation. That's all. Moving on, unless you have any questions. Any question before I move on? Okay. That's going to be a quick one. The accessory apartment. So believe it or not, in our downtown, the states want to allow accessory apartment. As we speak, we didn't have it, so it's a very quick change. So what does an accessory apartment mean? For us, it will mean this one. It has to be attached. It cannot be the detached one. And we have some regulations here. It's first of all, the owner must live in it for at least 3 years. It has to be attached. It cannot exceed 30% or 1,000 square feet of the building. As part of the requirement, we are adding lots of requirements to make sure that it will be done right and there will be a zoning permit for it. That's what it means. I know there are more details. I'm happy to discuss after, but that's what it really means. Allowing it in the downtown area, which is fine because we already allow high density anyway. Moving on, I'm going to talk about the mixed use corridor. And please let me know if you can see the map clearly. I know that it had lots of details, but I wanted to show you what the situation is. The situation is we have this big corridor here. That's an easier map. It starts from downtown all the way to Badameam and Stacy intersection. It's a big corridor. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different zones. If you look closely, you will see the different zones are next to each other. This has created a lot of issues. A lot of them are the businesses are legally non-conforming, meaning they cannot expand, they cannot make any changes. And as you see, if you look closely, why would so many zones be next to each other? The reason is this actually evolved over time. It was not planned. So for the last year and a half, the zoning commission, myself, property owner have been working on a vision to come with a new zone that will make everything in existence legal and allow for mixed use. That's what it really means. So what do we have? Anything that is in orange, I believe this is the color you can see, we would like it to be the new zoning district. Ideally, we would like to see mixed use like the one you see here. However, we can also still have the businesses being legally conforming, and we can also have, as you can see, standalone multifamily development. What do we have? We have design standards because this is supposed to be the future or part of the future of the city. Would like it to be higher standard than the usual areas as well. And very important, I cannot miss this one. Any development, be it mixed use or standalone residential, containing more than 10 units must have 10% affordable housing. It's a must. We are requiring it. So yes, we are opening opportunities at the same time. We would like to actually have more affordable housing. This is the trade-off, I would say. And also in a mixed use, because I mentioned we'd like it to be of really high quality, on the main floor, at minimum 50% would have to be commercial if it's a mixed use. It cannot just be a symbolic small business. It has to be significant, not significant to the point that it shows that it's a commercial corridor. To do this, we are having very specific design standards for the corridor. I'm just sharing the more important one. One is that the main floor would have to be at least 12 feet high to allow for a more significant, I would say, commercial use. And glazing will have to be 60% for commercial uses. And If you look here, there has to be articulation every 40 feet. So the building, if it's a bulky one, doesn't look like a blank wall. That covers the main highlights of all what we have been trying to achieve, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I'm gonna stop sharing here so I can see all of you.
I think we've been asking questions thank you for giving us the opportunity to ask questions all along, rather than save them up till the end. I mean, there's a lot here, a lot here to digest. And, like you said, so a lot of new terms, a lot of new rules. But you also mentioned at the outset, Waleed, that, this ship has sailed. This is a Connecticut State Public Act. There's not a lot we at the local level can do about it. Certainly the state overrules the municipal, but there's a lot here.
There's a lot.
Like every other decision we make, we're going to have to see what the long-term implications of it are. We certainly agree with the state that it's well documented there's a shortage of residential housing available, and that certainly keeps the price very high. But time will tell whether this is an effective solution for that problem.
Mr. Chairman, I guess we were lucky that before this was all enacted, I'm talking about the zoning commission and myself, we kind of anticipated that this will happen because, you could hear what's going on. Nobody was sure, but it appears that it's going to happen. So the fact that we had the design standards, we have been working on it for over a year and a half. This has been hashed out many, many times. Just for you to know, initially it was meant to be commercial and residential. We decided that there's no time. Let's just keep going with residential. It's needed now. So when we approve the state mandated requirements, we have some kind of mechanism to have a say in what application come in and say, hey, no. This is not really what we are looking for. We need something of higher quality. So I really feel happy that the two are happening at the same time. At least we have a say here.
Waleed, and let me just throw in, I know that your department did a lot of hard work on this one, and particularly in anticipation of what the state was going to do. And let's, as a commission, acknowledge that. Well done. Lots of hard work. Hats off to your staff.
Yes.
All of them. Say.
Yep. Mr. Chairman, I have a question about the MUTOD. Just a specific one on this, and then maybe a general question about how our city is going to be transformed due to these changes. So on page 7 of 18, we have your affordable housing incentive. So it goes into a whole thing about, if you can sort of buy credits for affordable housing dwelling by putting some of the affordable housing in other places and this kind of thing. So one of the things that hit me here was a height bonus, which is one of the parameters for getting credits. The height of a structure may be increased in proportion to the share of affordable housing units provided by the project in accordance with the following quantities in accordance with the following, and then it says quantity shall not be rounded or prorated. Okay, so they have a little table here, and it says minimal share of units in the development that are affordable. So I went down to 25%. So if you, I don't know, I don't know where to hang. Oh, I did look. So I think the regulations now say 50 feet for affordable housing, multi-purpose housing, 50 feet height. I may be wrong about that, but just moving forward on the question. So if you have a 50-foot start and you've got 25% affordable housing, you can add 30 feet in height.
Yes.
And now I'm thinking you go up Hayden Aram Road, and all of a sudden we have a building that gets built and it's 80 feet tall, that's 6 stories. These are all calculations I made. I guess they're in the neighborhood. What of that? All of a sudden, you got 3 or 4 story buildings, and all of a sudden this thing goes up. Is that going to happen? And do we have, this is a regulation apparently, so do we just let it happen?
That's a very valid point. You need to be careful when you are looking at it. It says may. It doesn't say shall or anything. It's just an option, just if it works out and it meets all the design standard.
Oh,
It's a may. So it's just an option.
oh, okay. So may, and who decides that is the planning and the zoning commission, or I guess the planning commission.
Most likely, if this is the case, this will take it, because we always have the discretion to take an application to the planning commission. It doesn't say it here, but at some point I would go back to it.
So,
Because-
yeah.
Go ahead. So usually we can make the decision it doesn't meet it as staff, but if we feel unsure, usually we take an application to the planning commission.
Okay, and but this, what you're saying may for the whole item C here, it could mean that we don't go by this table at all ever in Danbury. Is that a possibility? I mean,
Yes.
it just,
Okay, say if it's a slam dunk and there's an application that really, like, even if it goes up to 80 feet, it's fine. We can utilize it, we don't have to. If it's in a place where it's all like 2 stories, easily enough we can say no.
okay. All right, I did have another question, but I think I'll let that one go. Yes.
Helen, you were talking about the section 5F, right? The downtown transit-oriented development district. Was that what you're talking about? I'm sorry.
It's on page 7 of 18. It's 5J6, Affordable Housing Incentive.
It's
Okay.
under the new district.
Okay, I'm sorry. I want to,
Yes.
if you're done, I'm going to shift gears back to the, again, I'm looking at the petition to amend the zoning regulations, the big document. And I'm on page, forgive me, I am on page 10.
Okay, that's okay.
5F6, off-street parking and loading. And again, this is in the downtown TOD. And it reads as follows. Reduction for payment in lieu of parking. In accordance with Connecticut General Statute, Section 8-2C, payment may be provided to the city of Danbury in lieu of providing required parking spaces. And then, further down it says the fund shall not be used for general operating expenses other than those associated with transit facilities. And, that is another one that we stopped and looked at because you'd never want to have a situation where you could reduce required parking by just paying money to the city. And I just saw that, and I may be misreading it, but it was an item of concern. And then further down it said, in any case in which a fee is proposed to be accepted in lieu of parking for residential or mixed-use developments containing 16 or more dwelling units, or for any commercial development, because the total number of parking spaces required cannot be physically located on the parcel of land for which such use is proposed, approval shall require a 2/3 vote of the zoning or the planning commission as the case may be. So I guess if it's a development containing 16 dwelling units or more, and the applicant feels that there's not enough space on the parcel of land to put the required parking, there will still be a vote from either the planning or zoning commission that requires a 2/3 majority. Am I reading that correctly?
If
That's
it's
not-
less than,
No, it's the second, Facebook. 6 more. If it's less, you forgot the new requirement from the state says that we don't have a say.
Right.
So this is only applicable if you have more than 16 units. Then, and the applicant would like to actually have less parking, they will need to come to you, meaning the planning commission, asking if they can pay fee in lieu.
Okay.
I can share back that I know it's very confusing, there are lots of regulations, but if you recall, if it's less than 16, most cases, unless we have an exception, we cannot ask for parking if the study submitted by an engineer saying, hey, we only need like 5.
But this says that under the less than 16, approval by the planning commission, as the case may be, shall be required. So, but it doesn't have to be, and if it's over 16, you need a 2/3 majority. But this still says it's required by the planning, approval is required by the planning commission.
Okay, so you are looking, okay. You are looking at which section? 5F6.
Yes,
Yeah,
B
here's
and-
B and C. We're looking at B and C.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yes, 16 dwelling units is the magic number. There's 2 different rules. There's fewer than 16 or greater than 16. So there's a fairly significant distinction between the regulations for the 2.
yeah, and this says that less than 16, approval by the planning commission shall be required, and then over 16, approval shall require 2/3 vote.
Okay. So
Either
so
way,
I-
it's
so it's more
required.
difficult, if it's more difficult for the ones that are
Yes.
above 6.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay.
So it got hazy in my mind because there are so many different items here. So
Mhm.
I know the difference now. I remember this one.
All right, commission members, lots to digest here. Lots of new things, lots of new terminology. But again, Waleed opened with the fact that this ship has sailed, and there's a lot here that's mandated by the state of Connecticut that's not within our purview to change. So
I don't want to scare you guys, but the state is working on more now as we speak on more changes, but it's not official yet. Just for you to know, giving you heads up. Okay.
What is, Mr. Chairman?
Waleed, if you're trying to cheer us up, it's not working.
Oh, what should I do now, Mr. Chairman? Okay.
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Chairman, I have a question. What the state is working on all these regulations. I'm hoping that they're taking departments all over the state and getting input from them, and not just like the Congress people, look, the elected officials. Is that do you give input, or is that not happen? I mean, yeah, I know you would, and you probably are. Now, whether they use it, I don't know, but
Helen, I'm not going to comment on this during the meeting. So that's
okay.
all what I can say.
Okay.
Okay, commission members, well, here's the deal. We have 2 different 838 referrals. So we're going to need a motion for a positive or negative referral on both of them. So again, looking at the agenda, I'll read the first one. The first one is really more geared toward the changes mandated by the state of Connecticut. So I'll read it. 838 referral petition of the city of Danbury by Waleed Al-Bakri, planning director, to amend section 2B, 5A, 5B, 5C, 5E, 5F, 5G, 5I, 8C, 10B, and 10I of the zoning regulations to add sections 5J and 8F to the zoning regs. Again, commission members, I would ask for a motion for a positive or negative referral to the zoning commission.
Mr. Chairman, I might as well, because we have to. I will make a positive recommendation referral based on the fact that these are state mandated requirements. And so they have met all of the qualifications that we need to have met.
And Helen, would you want to add to that it's consistent with the POCD?
No? Do I have to?
But, well, I mean, I looked at, again, I know we're in the middle of a
Well, I
motion here.
just asked a question about this, and I don't think it always, I mean, according to our POCD, we have certain corridors and, which now we're gonna get, but I guess we have to, so is the POCDs, will that be, or need to be updated?
Well, here's what Waleed's report said, and again, I'm looking at the report with the two petitions combined. It's dated June 1st. It says, under Chapter 124, Section 8.2 of the Connecticut General Statutes, the Zoning Commission holds the authority to create, amend, or repeal zoning regulations as necessary to align with the POCD.
Oh,
That seems to imply that the POCD rules and we create, amend, or repeal zoning regs as per the POCD. We are,
Mis-
go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, so does this mean, just to clarify, this means that the POCD is prioritized over the state regulations?
I
Because that's
think,
why I didn't want to put it in.
yeah, no, that's a very good question, Helen. Do you know what, Waleed, do you know that one?
Yes, no, the state law supersedes everything else. POCD is just a policy, it's not a law.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
So you might want to say, Helen, that,
okay.
well, no, you don't have to say it's in compliance with the POCD. You might say that state law supersedes the POCD, so it doesn't really matter.
I don't know, Waleed, you're not looking like, is that a good
Well,
idea?
Actually, just for you to know, if you keep looking at what I submitted, you will see there are some policies and goals that are in the POCD that are consistent with what we are doing.
Okay.
I believe I mentioned them. I don't have it in front of me, but if you have a copy of the staff report, look at it, you will see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we'll use in terms of POCD. Can we
Yeah.
do that? That's good.
But
All right.
again, just do not forget, POCD is just a policy, meaning that we need to look at it. It doesn't mean we have to follow it to the letter.
Yeah. Okay. I have it here, the Shepherd's Bureau. Okay, so it just says recommendations, proposed amendments to the zoning regulations aim to bring the city zoning regulations into compliance with state mandates while ensuring high quality development that enhances overall appeal. This effort spearheaded by the planning and zoning, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, the planning staff recommends that the planning commission forward a favorable recommendation to the zoning commission. So, all right, well, can we wordsmith out of these recommendations? And I'm not sure exactly what the word.
Well, I think it does try to expand the housing supply, particularly in downtown area, which is and more affordable units, which is what the POCD is trying to do as part of it, right? So I think from
Yeah.
that perspective, I think they're in agreement.
There are, again, I'm looking at page 2 of Waleed's report. There are
Yeah.
5 points here.
Yeah,
Ensure the city's zoning regulations direct development towards areas that can support development without adversely impacting the city's environmental resources. Adopt and implement low-impact policies and practices. Expand housing supply and housing choice in Danbury. Somebody said that. Increase the supply of housing in and proximate to Danbury's downtown with an emphasis on affordable units. And review the city's zoning regulations to ensure the regulations allow for the development of new housing while protecting the integrity of the city's neighborhoods. So
Okay,
those
that's
5
good.
things are in
Can
compliance.
we use those then? That's good. Thank you, Wally, because you provided that. Thank you.
Okay, so Helen made a motion for a positive referral. Is there a second?
second.
Second. Okay, motion made and seconded. Joanne, I pity you having to write the minutes for that one.
Thank God for
okay.
AI.
It's okay.
In
I'm
here,
getting
still
I'm getting
listening.
an alert that my computer's gonna shut down at 8:32, so
I got
we
it.
have 12 minutes. Come on.
All right, motion's been made and seconded for positive referral. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
Okay.
we're going to go to the next one, A3A referral, petition of the city of Danbury by Waleed Al-Bakri, a planning director, to amend zoning map to implement a mixed-use transit-oriented district, MUTOD, the priority housing development overlay zone, to create 2 conservation traffic mitigation districts in compliance with HB 8002. I'll entertain a positive or negative referral for that one as well.
Chairman, I'll make a recommendation for a positive, based on all of the
The
same
same reasons. Let's.
reasons as we
Okay.
did for the previous one.
Okay.
Motion for a positive. Do I hear a second?
I second, Mr. Commissioner.
Yay, Sydney.
Made for a positive referral. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Both of these A3As get a positive referral. Waleed, thank you again, and Ally and everybody for the hard work you did on this one. This was a good luck with the zoning commission.
Yeah, right. Very good, though. Yeah, very comprehensive.
Okay. Nothing under new business or correspondence. A couple of other matters for reference only. Plus, Joanne Reed's computer is going to die any minute now. So we've got to.
It's gonna update. It says I have an update and it won't let me get out of it. So we have till 8:32. We
Mr.
have
Chairman, I'll make a
11
motion to
minutes.
adjourn.
Okay, Bob, great.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Good work.
Hey, Joanne, your
Thank
computer
you.
is-
We made it.
Lots of
Thank
stuff.
you.
IT guy.
I thought we'd be here all night. I did.
And we have to give a shout out for Joanne. She will be busy for a whole week taking all the notes. It's gonna be a lot of.
It's a lot of
It's
work.
okay.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good
Bye
night.
now.
Hey, good
Have a
night, everybody.
night.
Night.
everyone.
Thank you.